In this lesson, we are going to learn how our neurons signal electronically. Neurons send two types of signals, electrically using axons and chemically, so electrically using axons right here, here's the axon, and chemically using synapses. Synapses are the space between the neurons. So it uses a chemical signal to pass to another neuron, and then this neuron propels the signal electrically, and another signal is sent to an adjacent neuron chemically. The axon's electrical signal is called the action potential. Before we talk about the action potential, we need to review diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration. For example, if I put a drop of food coloring in this glass of water, there's more food coloring on the top, so it's going to move to areas with no food coloring. And eventually, all the food coloring is going to be distributed evenly. Let's look at what happens in our body. In our body, we have a lot of sodium ions, which we get from salt. And let's say if they were all here on the top, where are they going to move? That's right, they are going to move evenly to the places that don't have a lot of sodium ions until they are everywhere. We also need to understand the cell membrane, which is the outside of the cell, before we learn about the action potential. The cell membrane is made out of mostly fat and proteins. Here's the fat. We're zooming in. And the fat prevents molecules like sodium from just coming into the cell. Right, so it can't come in. There's also, in the cell membrane, there's also proteins called sodium channels, which currently is closed. So can you guess, can sodium come in if it's closed? No, it can't. But if the sodium channel opens, then the sodium can come in. And what causes the sodium channel to open? They open when the neuron reaches a certain level or a threshold. Let's talk a little bit more about threshold. We're going to talk about the toilet for a little bit. And trust me, this is relevant. How do you flush a toilet? Oh, you're going to jiggle this handle, right? What if you just jiggle it a little bit? Is the toilet going to flush? No, it's not. You have to jiggle with just the right level of force. Then it flushes. Can you stop a toilet from flushing after it started? Well, no. Once it starts, you can't stop. That's threshold. You have to reach a specific level, but once you get there, you can't stop it anymore. That's really similar to how neurons work. Neurons get to threshold when they receive signals from another neuron. When it gets to threshold, it will send an electrical signal. The sodium channels open. It's like when you flush a toilet. Right? It's like when you flush a toilet, it just goes. The neuron will just fire an electrical signal. Right? So here is signal from another neuron. It flushes, right? And it just continues flushing. But in the neuron, we don't have toilets. We have these sodium channels. It's like this. The sodium channels open, and sodium rushes into the cell because there are more sodium chemicals outside. when they come in, they stimulate the next channel to open. So the movement of sodium into the cell is what creates electricity in the neuron, and this is called the action potential. If you've ever been to the dentist, you may have been given a drug called Novocaine. This numbs your mouth so you don't feel any pain. Well, this basically works by stopping the toilets from flushing. It plugs the toilets, not real toilets, but in our cells, in our neurons, it stops the sodium channels from opening. So Novocaine blocks the sodium channels and they can't open. If they can't open, sodium can't come in and your neuron cannot send electricity regarding the pain signal and you won't feel pain.